My name is Father Vasquez. I am pastor of St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Corpus Christi.
What was Josemaria Escriva like as a child?
As a child? Well, he grew up in a very devout family. He was kind of quiet. Well, he was a normal kind of kid, though. But it was growing up with a father, especially that was very devout, was important to him, and I think that had the most impact on his life as a little boy into his teenage years.
That kind of leads into my next question. Did he have any role models?
Yeah, I think his father had probably the biggest impact in his life. He was a good dad. He was a strong father, but a very loving one. And again, his devout practice, a lot like John Paul II's father, had impact or influence in his life, teaching him to pray, teaching him his faith. So that was very important, perhaps the most important role model that Josemaria had in his life. Mm-hmm.
Was there any inspiration from his dad to become a priest?
No, I don't think so. I think his father was perhaps not even thinking about that. Josemaria describes that his father had great plans for him, hoping that he would do something big. And I think there was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had already discussed certain plans in his life. I think it was an architect or an engineer, something like that. But he came and he revealed this to his father, not knowing what his father would or how his father would react to it. But his father was very moved by his revelation of his vocation story to him, and accepted it. Accept whatever his son was going to do. So he was very open to that. But it wasn't something his father pushed or something that came from, I don't think it came from his dad.
What was it like for him to be a priest during the time of war and totalitarian rule?
It's a horrible time, actually. The Spanish Civil War was like a battle between four different groups, really. You had the fascists and the socialists, and then pure atheists, all of which were enemies of the church. Then you had the conservatives, who were the only ones where there was solace in the church. That time period was very difficult for the Spaniards. It was right before the Second World War. Many martyrs at the time. In fact, we are still finding out about them, and some are still being canonized in the church today. Being a priest at the time was a lot like what it was like in Mexico at the time. The priests were persecuted. They were killed on sight in many regions of Spain. So he had to leave certain regions that were controlled by these nationalist groups, these fascists or communists, even the atheists, and move into places under control of the conservatives. I think he goes into the region near Barcelona, going through the mountains of France, the Pyrenees, going through France and then entering there, which was really dangerous. But it was there where he was able to continue his work, his studies. And then after the Franco regime won the war, the church was a little more at peace, and he was able to continue his work in Madrid. But it was a difficult time.
What put Josemaria on the path to sainthood?
To sainthood? Well, I think it's the legacy, and this is a question you're going to ask me, and I'm sorry, but it's his legacy. In other words, this idea that he introduces of finding holiness in the ordinary way of life is something the church then takes on later from him. Because at the time they thought he was this crazy liberal priest and didn't know what he was doing. He was more Protestant than Catholic. Today they think he's not even Catholic, he's just like way out in the mainstream. But what he presented, the church took up at the Second Vatican Council. It's the concept, we have it in the Catechism, and we teach it from the Council, the universal call to holiness. All of us are called to be saints. And I think that was a big impact on John Paul II, for instance. Because if you consider the saints that he made, including Josemaria, a lot of the saints are ordinary, everyday people, couples. We have a couple being canonized soon, the parents of Therese. But you see, in his case, like St. Gianna Beretta Molla, a doctor, a woman doctor. You have Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, who's this young guy, kind of an athlete in the world type of thing. There's a lot of that, and you see John Paul II highlighting those. So when the cause for Josemaria Escriva's canonization comes up, I think it was a no-brainer. I think it was easy for the church to do that because of what impact he had in the life of the church and how he personally impacted so many of those who knew him. And that's, I think, how the cause, really stirred up or began for him.